Free the land, free the land. My good people, good morning from here in the U.S. Good morning. Free the land, brothers and sisters. Free the land, brother. Free the land. As y'all coming to the live, please share this live with your timeline. As today is a very, very sacred day, a memorial day, a remembrance day. I'm going to touch on this real quick. I decided to hop on here real fast to show my solidarity and my commemoration to the 6 million, because a lot of people like to sugarcoat the numbers, um, but anywhere between 2 million to 6 million of our Igbo brothers and sisters of Biafra land, suffered a horrific genocide and a civil war between the Biafrans and the Nigerian federal government. But also, this should be also a day of uh, honor and commemoration and showing respect and love for the independence of Biafra as well. We know today is a Remembrance Day, being that this is also Memorial Day weekend here in the United States of America. Um, Not only is it a Remembrance Day of those Biafran brothers, sisters, mothers, grandfathers, grandmothers, and the most important of it all, and the main reason for me getting on here is to understand that so many children, the children of Biafra, the Igbo children that suffered a horrific genocide, whether it was through all of its murder. At the end of the day, all of its murder, but for these babies to die horrific death that involves starvation and famine and disease and things of that nature, it has to be memorialized and remembered every year around this time, you know. But like I said, one of the most important things that we should honor on this day also is the independence, the fact that General Juku and the nationals and the citizens of Biafra who stood up on May 30th, 1967, to declare themselves as a self-determined, independent nation state of peoples should be commemorated on this day, because this is also the Independence Day of Biafra. So let's put that out there as well. This is also an Independence Day, even though this is also a day of remembrance for the Biafran heroes, the Biafran citizens who died a horrific genocide on this day. We should also pay attention and honor the fact that this is also an Independence Day, and that Biafrans are also still fighting for the restoration of this nation that they deem the Republic of Biafra on this day, May 30th, 1967, man. We should also honor that, because we also know that this struggle in this nation was also for the survival of these people, what I'm saying, of our brothers and sisters, our blood, our relatives, our cousins, what I'm saying, on this day is the fact that, you know, they 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 proclaim independence on this day, man, for self-preservation, to preserve their people, man, for survival. Because we got to also understand this, and I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into it. Let me share it with my timeline. Be real. I always forget to share it with my own personal timeline. Let me share it, brothers and sisters, with my timeline before I get into it real deeply. Oh, yeah, let me share this with my timeline. Share this with my timeline. Yeah, mate. Okay. Biafra. Biafra. Heroes Day and 100. Bear with me, brothers and sisters. Bear with me. I'm trying to share with my timeline 100th anniversary of Black Wall Street. And there we have it. Share with my timeline. Yeah, personal timeline. As I was saying, yes, man, please share this with everybody. Share this with your timeline. Share this with your families and friends. I'm hoping as many new Africans, misnomer Black Americans, African Americans, I hope many of them join us live so they can also get educated about why this day is so important to so many peoples. Because this is not even just how can I put it? This is not even just Pacific and restrained to just Biafran Igbo people, man. It's people all over the world. It's people all over the world that is remembering what happened on this day to our brothers and sisters in Biafra land. And we got to also understand there's a historic chronology of many groups, many revolutionary groups, citizens, students, from all across the world who actually supported the Biafran independence on this day, May 30th, 1967. Many of those groups were actually located here inside the Empire of the United States of America. There were many, many what they deem as leftist groups of Black Americans, aka New Africans in America, who actually, you know, who actually struggled against the contradictions and the neglect of the United States of America to support a certain, you know what I'm saying? I don't like to say take sides and things of that day, because when we go back and look at the history, a lot of, you know, propagandized media outlets were portraying the United States of America as a nation that stood neutral in the Nigerian and Biafran Civil War. But I have evidence, you feel me? And I put it in the link of this bio. So share this link inside the description of the description box of this live video, where we have to hold the United States of America accountable for the things that they did, far as to you know, capitalize off of the Biafran genocide and the Biafran Civil War. This is facts. A lot of people like to just point the fingers at Britain, but no, it was the United States and the British companies, multi national companies, multi-billionaire companies who have a heavy involvement in this Biafran genocide. This is something that a lot of y'all tend to leave out. A lot of people tend to leave out of when we're talking about the Biafran Nigerian Civil Wars. That what about the United States private companies, billionaire companies, the United States involvement in the oil companies? And we know many of these oil companies were situated in Biafra Igbo land. You feel me? So when we're speaking about the Biafran Civil War and the Biafran genocide, you have to include the United States of America's negligence and their involvement in the Biafran Nigerian Civil War based on these private companies, these U.S. British private companies, billionaire companies who were involved in facilitating this Biafran genocide, you know what I'm saying, in 1967, all the way up until 1970, 71 of January. A lot of our people tend to leave that out of the whole story of this genocide of the Biafran Nigerian Civil War. And also, man, if you send me a request, because somebody's sending me a request right now, if you're sending me a request to be a guest on this live video, you can do so as well. And I will bring you into this live and you can speak on, especially my Biafran brothers, Igbo brothers and sisters, if you want to speak and want to explain the ongoing genocide, the restoration of Biafra and things of that nature that many of our people across the world might not understand about the significance of the Biafran independence, restoration, referendums, genocide of these 6 million brothers and sisters that died over a 3 to 4 year period of time. You can do so. And I would definitely bring you into this live. But yes, man, spread this video. Spread this video to everybody, man, so we can show the unity, show the support, show the solidarity for our brothers and sisters who are still healing. Because that's one of the things of the process of remembering a genocide that's continuing today. But the healing process, because so many brothers and sisters, whether you live in the African diaspora, whether you live in Europe, whether you live in Africa, whether you live in South America, and you have some kind of ties to Biafra, you have some ties to Igbo land, it's in your bloodline, and you know of this horrific genocide, and even the people, even the brothers and sisters, man, who are just practicing, you know what I'm saying, Igbo culture, Igbo traditions, or, you know, Biafran culture, Biafran traditions, and things of that nature, man. Do yourself the justice of today just making a post. Make this about making a post about the Biafran genocide and things of that nature, because we have to support our brothers and sisters genocide and bring attention to our brothers and sisters genocide, as well as we do for other allies or other nation states or other, you know, peoples who are going through horrific you know, genocides, like the Tigray people who are going through a genocide in Ethiopia today. We must support our Biafran brothers and sisters the same way we support them. The Palestinians, even though many of you may have your own, you know, I don't like to say bias, but your own stance when it comes to the Palestinian-Israel genocide. But we do have to identify with the Palestinian peoples who are being genocided and oppressed peoples. We have to support them the same way we support Biafran people, man. You know what I'm saying? Because these are our blood. These are our brothers and sisters, man. Who, just imagine, 6 million, 3 to 6 million, 3 to 6 million brothers and sisters. And the greater percentage of those brothers and sisters were kids who died from horrific famine, horrific starvation. The British people cut off, the British federal Nigerian government cut off these people's food supply. That is one of the most evilest acts in history in warfare that broke and violated the human rights of Biafran Igbo people, man. That was a horrific human rights violation. That was a violation of the Geneva Codes, of international law, when you cut off a people's food supply. These brothers and sisters died from starvation. Not just from the bullets, the British and Nigerian federal government bullets, not just the bullets. They murdered and genocide these people through natural, not even natural, but inhumane treatment by cutting off food supplies, medical aid. Because many of these brothers and sisters, these kids died from the lack of medical aid that was blocked. Did you hear what I said? That was blocked by the federal government of Nigeria. And I know a lot of our brothers and sisters in the Western Hemisphere, man. We are reconnecting with our brothers and sisters from Nigeria, because we know many of the brothers and sisters in America, the new African, the African American, whatever you call yourself in America, a lot of us are starting to reestablish our relationships with our relatives in Nigeria, because we are descendants. Many of us are descendants. Many of us are descendants of the brothers and sisters in the land, the false pseudo land of Nigeria. But I find it as an injustice for our brothers and sisters here in America not to stand up and speak about what took place in Nigeria and still taking place in Nigeria today. Because today is not just about what happened in 1967. It's about what's going on today, because we always have to connect yesterday to today. Today, many brothers and sisters in Nigeria are still being murdered, still being killed. Today, the genocide continues today. So today, please, brothers and sisters, no matter where you from, where you be at today, make some kind of post today to stand in solidarity with the brothers and sisters in Biafra land. And to always remember the genocide that took place between May 30th, 1967 into January 1970. Yes, please do so today, man. And let's remember. Let's remember what the fight is truly for. The fight is truly for independence for these brothers and sisters. The restoration for their nation on this day, brothers and sisters. So, like I said again, if you want to come into this live, I'm opening the floor up to my live. I'm opening my live up to my Biafran brothers and sisters who want to come on to this live, similar to what I did last year. You know what I'm saying? Let you come on and you can speak your truths. You know what I'm saying, about what's going on in Biafra land today, because that genocide continues today. If you want to come into this live and talk, please send me a request and I will bring you into this live, man. Because this is a day of commemoration. This is a day of remembrance. This is a day to tell the truth of what really happened. You know what I'm saying? And this is also, you know what I'm saying, to unify the brothers and sisters in the Western African diaspora with our brothers and sisters, man. This is the time. Like the great Bobby Seale said, today is the time to seize the time, brothers and sisters. Seize the time to get the attention of the world. Because this is what today is about, to get the attention of the world. Because we know the United Nations is crooked. We know the United Nations is broad. We know the United Nations don't, you know, whether through all these international organizations that claim to be about human rights, we know many of these organizations are controlled by the enemy. We know the media is controlled and propagandized by the enemy. You see what I'm saying? So it's our duty as lovers of freedom, of righteous freedom and liberation, black liberation, African liberation. It is our duty to bring attention to the Biafran genocide, the restoration of Biafra land, man. And to always, you know, continue to stand in solidarity beside these brothers and sisters, man, to bring attention to what the Fulani herdsmen, the Boko Harams, who still are in existence today, who are still murdering and genociding these brothers and sisters. The federal government, the most important thing, the fact that the federal government of Nigeria is still funding this genocide on Igbo people and Biafran people, man, and not even trying to fix the situation, not even trying to come to a standstill with this and to grant just a simple referendum. That is all these brothers and sisters is asking for. It's a simple referendum, the right to vote for their political, economic, social destiny, the right to vote on which direction these brothers and sisters wants to go. And also, let this be a lesson to the world, man. Let this be a lesson to the world, especially the black African people in the world, that what happened to the Biafrans and the Igbo brothers and sisters back in the late 1960s to the early 1970s, this can happen to you. When you don't control your destiny, when you don't control your political, economic destiny. This can happen to you. And this has happened to many other brothers and sisters across the world. My second part of this video I'm going to touch on is the 100th anniversary. Today is also the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Black Wall Street Massacre, where this self-determining town here inside the Empire of the United States of America in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where over 300 to over 3,000 black African Americans were slaughtered on this day as well by white supremacists and the United States government in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Black Wall Street was destroyed on this day also. 100 years ago. 3,000 brothers and sisters inside the Empire of America were slaughtered by white supremacists, killed by United States police, troops in Tulsa, Oklahoma on this day. An all-black, self-determining separatist town was destroyed on this day. Also, May 30th, 1921 to June 1st, 1921. So we also got to pour some libation out today for those brothers and sisters, those new Africans, misnomer African Americans who were also genocided on this day, May 30th. And if many of you don't know what Tulsa, you know what I'm saying, Black Wall Street was, I suggest you write that name down, and I suggest you to research it. Research Tulsa, Black Wall Street on this day. See, that's what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, man. We must not forget the genocides of our brothers and sisters across this planet, across this globe, because we're being murdered and killed everywhere across the globe. Truths. And it's ironic how the new African, the African American, have so much in common with the Biafran Igbo genocide. That on this day also, while they were being genocided, 100 years before that, 100 years ago today, black brothers and sisters inside America were being genocided. A whole town destroyed. A whole town destroyed on this day. 100 years ago. We shall never forget our heroes, our sheroes, our martyrs. This is something, this is why this day is also important, that we should never ever forget. Today is also a symbolization of sacrifice. What does sacrifice mean to you, brothers and sisters? What does sacrifice mean to you for total freedom, for black people, African people? What does sacrifice mean to you? What happened to the Biafrans is the highest honor and commemoration of sacrifice. What would you sacrifice? Would you sacrifice your life for freedom? A lot of people like to tend to use this word freedom loosely. Like Malcolm X said, if you're not willing to die for the word freedom, you should not release that word off your tongue, off the vibration of your tongue into the atmosphere. You shouldn't speak that word, freedom, if you're not willing to sacrifice and ultimately pay the ultimate sacrifice for freedom is death. This is what Malcolm X stated before he was assassinated. That you shouldn't speak the word freedom if you're not willing to die for it. 3 million to 6 million Biafrans demonstrated that in the ultimate sacrifice when they died. This is why they must be remembered. That's why they must be remembered. The ultimate sacrifice is death. The ultimate price in freedom is death. And it is the duty of the living. It is the duty of the living to venerate these great ancestors, to venerate the sacrifices, to venerate the martyrs. These are martyrs, brothers and sisters. The Biafran martyrs. The Black Wall Street martyrs. The Black Wall Street sacrificers who died on this day as well. So let me run through this real quick, brothers and sisters. Let me give a quick review of the Biafran genocide or the Biafran Nigerian Civil War for many of my brothers and sisters in America who are on this live who have never heard of the Biafran Nigerian Civil War. Let me give you a brief rundown. The Biafran War. And you can go to my website, newafrican77wordpress.com, And we're going to get to the libations in a minute. So please share this video with everybody, because I want everybody on this live, brothers and sisters, when I pour this libation out for May 30th, 1967 to 1970, you know what I'm saying, the genocide of Biafrans, man, that we remember on this day, the heroes and sheroes who fought in the Biafran Civil War, who sacrificed their life. Please share this live with everybody, because I'm about to pour this libation in a minute. And I need this whole live to have a bunch of essays going up and down this live when I pour this libation out for our brothers and sisters, man. But let me give you a brief historical context of what took place. The Biafran independence, the Biafran war, the Biafran Nigerian Civil War. On the 30th of May, 1967, Colonel Honorable General Ojukwu proclaimed the independent Republic of Biafra, who fought a war against Britain, the United States of America, the Nigerian Federal Army, and the River State Militia. Let me repeat that again, because there's a key statement in there that a lot of you don't even realize is the United States of America's negligence and participation through private multi-billionaire companies that they had invested in Biafra land in Nigeria, which makes them co-conspirators, co-criminals in the Biafran genocide, the United States of America. Yes, the country, the nation that so many of you look at and you know, see as this great democracy of America played, because yes, they paid and played and being conspirators in the Biafran genocide. The United States of America, yes, and their brother country, Britain. Because many of you like to leave the United States out of this, man. The United States played a role in this, and we're not going to leave them out. We're holding everybody accountable today. Everybody. Even the great democracy some of you sell your soul to, which is the United States of America. Let me repeat that. On May 30th, 1967, the Colonel Ojukwu proclaimed the independence of the Republic of Biafra, who indeed fought a war against Britain, the United States of America, the Nigerian Federal Army, and the River State Militia. The actual fighting lasted for 24 months and took the form of an initial conquest of towns and whole regions to the west of Biafra by the Biafra army, and then a slow reconquest of this region and Biafra itself, town by town, with the Nigerian Federal Army, with its imperialist backers, pushing the Biafran troops further back. What the Nigerian and Biafra Civil War did was a hatred, tribalism, nepotism, marginalization, ethnic cleansing, because a lot of you don't even realize this was an ethnic cleansing of Igbo people, killing 2 million to 6 million innocent Biafran Igbo people who did not know anything about politics nor the oil in the region by Gowen and his capitalist backers, i.e. Britain and the United States of America. That's right. Did you hear that? That's right. Britain and the United States, the imperialist backers of General Gowen and his dictatorship regime and military of the federal government of Nigeria. Stop right there. Let's stop right there. How many of you know that the federal government of Nigeria supported the dictator Gowen, financially backed him and supported him in exterminating and genociding Igbo people and Biafran people? That's right. The United States of America and the British Empire financed Gowen's military regime and dictatorship. Another puppet of the United States of America and another puppet of the British Empire. We're not leaving nobody out today. We're including all guilty parties today to let you know that we have no friends. We have some allies, which are the oppressed peoples of the world. Yes, the oppressed peoples of the world are our allies. But these Western empires, these Western nations are not the friends. Listen to me closely. Are not the friends of African liberation, are not the friends of black liberation, are not the friends of New African liberation, are not the friends of Biafran liberation. Because I see too many of you waving the United States of America flag. And we're gonna cut that out today. We're gonna stop that today. Because I see too many Biafran brothers and sisters across this world putting the Biafran flag, the red, the black, the green, and the sun, a Pan-African flag. I'm seeing too many of you putting a Pan-African flag with an imperialist United States of America flag, thinking that the United States of America is your friend. They are not. They are the British Empire brothers and sister countries who actually financed, who actually had multi-billionaire companies who were involved in financing the federal Nigerian government and your brothers and sisters and your children's genocide. So we're going to stop raising the United States of America flag. No Biafran, no Igbo brothers and sisters should be waving the United States of America flag with this flag. With this flag, when you know for a fact that these people they played a criminal role in the criminal acts, in the inhumane acts on your people. Stop waving the United States of America flag, especially when Biafra has not been restored, especially when Biafran nation has not been restored, and that these people played a role in your genocide. They financed the government that were murdering your kids through starvation, famine, and disease. Stop waving the American flag with this flag, please. At least wait until your nation is free to see if they're going to help or, in some kind of way stand in solidarity with you, which they are not. Because the United States of America has not came to stop the genocide of the Fulani herdsmen or the Boko Haram murder and genocide on your people today. So stop waving that American flag, man. The American flag symbolizes the hate of white supremacy and the British flag. The red, white, and blue. Stop waving that with Pan-African colors and African liberation colors. It's a contradiction, brothers and sisters. It's a conflict when you don't have your total sovereignty, your total independence, your total freedom, and you're waving a Western imperialist flags with African flags when you're not free yet. And those same flags of the Western imperialist nations of America and Britain are still murdering and killing black people across the world. Black people in America, to be specific. If you want unity between black Americans, New Africans, and Biafrans and Igbo people and oppressed people, then you have to stop supporting the oppressors who murdered your people and they'll continue to murder your brothers and sisters here in America. Stop waving the United States flag. I'm seeing too many black brothers and sisters, and I'm seeing too many Biafrans and Igbo people waving a flag, knowing that these people had a financial, criminal, participation in y'all genocide. It's right here. It's right here. The evidence is right here. The evidence is recorded by many revolutionary freedom fighters of Biafra land who stood up and stated the fact that the United States did participate, whether it was by not being totally involved in the genocide, but they were financially involved in the genocide. This is facts. This is facts. And this all was over oil and ethnic cleansing. Three things you got to understand. What was the Biafran Civil War truly over? 1, land. 2, oil. 3, ethnic cleansing. Ethnic cleansing. Meaning getting rid of a Pacific ethnic group and wiping a Pacific ethnic group out of existence. This is something you have to understand, brothers and sisters. Ethnic cleansing. Ethnic cleansing. Rivalries for oil. I'm moving in, and I'm going to post this whole article that I did and I put on my site, newafrican77.wordpress.com, so you can share it with the world and share it with the people, man. Rivalries for oil. This is the section I'm going to read right now. The BBC journalist Frederick Forsyth, who reported from Biafra during the war, later highlighted a major factor precipitating the war and the ethnic cleansing on Igbo people. It has been postulated that if the Biafrans had their way as a republic of a semi-desert and was allowed to separate from Nigeria, there would have been cries of good riddance in their ears. One foreign businessman said that it's an oil war and felt obligated to say no more. Let me repeat that. It has been postulated that if the Biafrans had their way as a republic of a semi-desert and was allowed to separate from Nigeria, there would have been cries of good riddance in their ears. One foreign businessman said that it's an oil war and felt obliged to say no more. Go on, and his ruling bandits and Ojuku's Eastern Interest Group had attempted to make an agreement over the terms of their relationship with the British and the U.S. oil companies in New York in June 1967. Ojuku claimed that the right to the royalties paid in Lagos by Shell and BP up until June 1967. $7 million were due to Nigeria and oil royalties had not yet been paid. It was discussed that Biafra should receive 57.7% of the royalties and the rest to be put aside until there was a political settlement. Gowon vehemently refused to pay and threatened to extend anti-Biafra blockades to the Bonny Island oil terminal without respecting the agreement. Gowon troops launched their attack and captured the terminal at Port Bonny. As soon as the Nigerian army took the terminal, the British and U.S. oil companies arrived behind them, building a new oil installation as fast as they could while the war was still raging a few kilometers away. Did you hear that? Did you hear the United States involvement? Soon as Gowon's troops took over the terminal, the oil terminal, and let me make sure I got that right, the oil terminal at Port Bonny, right? This is a Pacific Key area and a Pacific Key point in the Biafran Civil War and the Biafran Genocide. Is when Gowon's troops attacked Port Bonny. And I need y'all to understand this and spread this because this is real history right here. When they attacked and took this oil terminal, this Biafran oil terminal, the United States of America and the British oil companies followed through and came into this area and started to build a new oil refinery on the land of Port Bonny. Do you hear what I said? The United States and Britain and their business companies came into Nigeria while the genocide was being taken out on Biafran Igbo people and created a whole nother oil refinery on Biafran land. Facts. Facts. It's right here. Facts. Facts. U.S. imperialism. Facts. The Gowon regime, represented by the proxies, the interests of Britain, the U.S., and jihadist countries, including Egypt, whose pilots flew the Illusion jets provided by the USSR. The important imperialist interests at work were those of the oil companies owned by the British, owned by the Americans, and the French, and backed by their respective governments in the way they lined up for and against Biafra. Let me repeat that again. The Gowon regime, represented by proxies, the interests of Britain, the U.S., and jihadist countries, including Egypt, whose pilots flew the Illusion jets provided by the USSR. The important imperialist interests at work were those of the oil companies owned by the British, the Americans, the French, and backed by their respective governments in the way they lined up for and against Biafra. Shell, many of you know who Shell is. Shell, BP, was the biggest exploiter of Biafran oil. The Anglo-Dutch consortium held the major concessions for oil in both the Biafran and the Niger Delta region, where oil had more recently begun to be pumped. When Biafra was blockaded, all the oil ceased to flow because the oil from outside Biafra from the Niger Delta was conveyed to Port Harcourt. Now in Biafra, via a large pipeline. The U.S. companies, did you hear that? The U.S. companies were also exploiting Nigerian and Biafran oil, but their interests were mainly in the Niger Delta region. As to France, since all oil concessions in the Biafran region were not yet taken by the super imperialists, they had been planning to expand their own concession already operating in Biafra in the name of state-owned companies, ELF. Because of that, they were in direct rivalry with the Shell BP and hoped to gain something at their expense. The presidents of France, General Charles de Gaulle, kept his options open. Though he never formally recognized Biafra, he did support Biafra's right to self-determination and gave aid through France colonized states like Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Gabon. Biafra was also supported by South Africa and Israel. In 1970, after the genocide, a series of peace talks were held and settlement was reached. The unity amongst Nigeria and Biafra in reality disappeared because of the mistrust, the buildup during the war, and the atrocities perpetuated against Biafrans by Gowon and his imperialist backers, the U.S. and British Empire. In closing, the most important part, in closing, every war fought in the world is an advantage of capitalism. The Nigerian Biafra War, the Rwandan Genocide, the Liberia War, the Sierra Leone War, the Democratic Republic of Congo War, the Ivory Coast War, the Uganda War, the Eritrea, Ethiopian War, Darfur Conflict, Angola War, Iraqi War, the Palestinian, Israeli War, the Afghanistan War, India-Pakistan War, the Somali War, the Zimbabwe Conflict, the Senegal, Casamance War, the Guinea-Bissau War, the Chechnya-Russia War, all wars to the advantage of capitalism, and beware and be warned. And that means that every war that you have seen to date was a conflict over what? Three things I just stated earlier: land, oil, and ethnic cleansing. This is what all wars are over, people. Leave the religious stuff out of it. Like I'm always teaching you in all these videos. That religious stuff is nothing but an illusion. The religion beliefs, the religious excuses, the religious, you know what I'm saying, cop-outs, the religious brainwashing, colonialism of religion, throw all that out. Throw all that out, because that is not what these wars is about. This is not what the Biafran Nigerian conflict was about. The Biafran genocide, it was not about religion. Today, it's still not about religion. It's about the oil. It's about the oil. It's about the land. It's about the ethnic cleansing. That is what wars is fought over, people. This is what creates genocides. This is what Biafra was standing up against. This is what Biafra stood up against. The self-preservation against extermination, against ethnic cleansing. And all, and this is the biggest lesson out of the Biafran genocide, man. On this day, this Remembrance Day, this Independence Day, the biggest lesson, brothers and sisters, that we have to take from this is like what I stated: the sacrifices, the martyrdom. But most important of it all is that you have the human rights to self-determination. You have the human rights to declare your people as a nation state of peoples. You have the right and the human right to separation. This is the key lesson, brothers and sisters. That you have the right to separation. And I hope that you take this as the biggest lessons when we're talking about these type of global incidents, these global, genocides, is that you have the right to separation. If it's all in the interest of self-preserving your people. You have the right to separate, brothers and sisters. And this is why we honor the great General Ojukwu, man. And all those great liberation fighters, because that's what they were. They were liberation fighters. Is that they knew this. This is why you got to get a political consciousness. It's not about just being conscious. A lot of people, that suited them. When people think that it's just about being conscious, it's not just about being conscious. It's about developing a political consciousness to understand the world contradictions. And that the fact that when there are deep contradictions between ethnic groups and people, tribes, nations, states, when there's a deep contradiction that those people can no longer come back from, or they can no longer get through, guess what? It's a right for separation to take place. Listen, New Africans, listen, Black Americans, because a lot of you don't get it either. Is that when your people are being murdered, genocide, starved, impoverished. Because if you go to Nigeria today, look at the roads. Look at the economic infrastructures in certain parts of Nigeria. But Nigeria is one of the richest countries in the world. But if you go to Nigeria, there are many of our brothers and sisters who don't have lights. And I know this is facts. Many brothers and sisters in Nigeria don't have lights. The proper food, the proper decent housing. The road infrastructures are inhumane in certain parts of Nigeria. But this is one of the richest oil-rich nations in the world, Nigeria. Oil-rich. With U.S., Britain, France, and Western financing and backing. But you trying to tell me I can go into southeastern Igbo land, Biafra land. I can go into certain parts of Western Nigeria. I can go into the Delta Belt, the Niger Delta Belt regions. And many of these great brothers and sisters don't have no lights. They have no lights. And it irks me to my soul when I be talking to some of my brothers and sisters. Don't have no lights. They can't even hold a conversation with you on the phone because they have no lights. You have to call these brothers and sisters at a certain point in time in order for them to have daylight in order to see. So we know Nigeria is not, it's not an example of democracy. It's not an example. It's not an example of democracy. Yeah, Nigeria may look good to brothers and sisters across the world from the outside because we have blood lineages and things of these nature. We have relatives in Nigeria. We have family in Nigeria and things of that nature, bro. But the economic situation in Nigeria is in dire. It's in a third world dire situation. It's third world. The job force. It's not good in Nigeria. The job force. The economic infrastructure. Why you have these blood-sucking nations, these blood-sucking Western imperialist nations and countries sucking the oil out the ground in Biafra land. This is why Biafra has to be established. Because if Biafra controlled their oil, if they controlled their land, if they are established as a nation state, would be one of the wealthiest, richest nation states in the world. Because Biafra's rich oil land is what is Nigeria thriving off. Nigeria's blood-sucking. British is blood-sucking. America's blood-sucking the oil out of Biafra land. And this is the most important thing that you have to understand. They're sucking the oil out of Biafra land. They're stealing the oil from Igbo people. They're stealing the oil from Biafrans, man. Facts. Facts. Oil that Africans in the African diaspora, Igbo people in the African diaspora, descendants in the African diaspora, descendants in the United States of America that you got blood rights to, that you have blood rights to. Imagine an oil-rich Biafran nation state that has control of their own political destiny, telling African Americans, telling new Africans to come back home. That Nigeria, France, the United States of America are stealing from our brothers and sisters, stealing from us as a birthright, stealing the oil from our people, man. This shit is about oil. Oil and land, period. How could such a beautiful culturally, spiritually place, mineral enriched place, oil enriched place, not be controlled by its own people? You have to see some wrong in that. Not controlled by their own people. Oh, black Americans, you should know how they feel. The so-called African Americans should know how they feel. We don't control nothing in America. We don't control nothing in the United States, period. So you should definitely feel the Biafrans' pain. We don't control nothing here in America. And on this day 100 years, before I get off here, on this day 100 years ago, one of the oil-enriched lands in America that was controlled by black people were destroyed. Was destroyed by white supremacists, white KKK. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa, Black Wall Street. Started by the great honorable brother, O'Gurley, in the early 1920s. A separatist town that sprung up on oil-enriched land in Oklahoma was destroyed on this day. The United States and their military troops, police, and white racist citizens went into Black Wall Street on this day, burnt it down, murdered, killed women, men, children. Over 3,000. Over 600 businesses destroyed on this day in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They dropped the bomb. They dropped a bomb on Tulsa, Oklahoma on this day. They dropped a bomb on your brothers and sisters in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street on this day. May 30th, 1921. Another example of a self-determined separatist black town that was thriving off of oil. See the coincidences between the Biafran and the Black American? The same thing took place on the same day in separate parts of the world. In separate parts of the world. 100 years. Look. Look, it's right there. The Tulsa Massacre. The Tulsa, Oklahoma Massacre. 100 years today. The 100th anniversary of Oklahoma Black Wall Street. Burnt down and murdered over 3,000 black people. Kids, and threw most of them in unmarked graves in Tulsa, Oklahoma on this day. Kids and babies being killed, stomped, murdered in Tulsa, Oklahoma. 100 years today, y'all. 100 years. 100 years today. So we must remember them too today, Biafran brothers and sisters. Let's remember our brothers and sisters in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, that were murdered and genocided on this day also. Let's remember them as well. Let me pour this libation out before I get off of here, man. Let's pour this libation out. I need the essays to go all up and down this video as I pour this libation out, man. As I pour this libation out for our heroes, our sheroes, our herons, the innocent children, man. The innocent children of the 6 million Biafrans that died in a 3-year time period of time through famine, hunger, and just straight up terrorism. There's no other word to describe it. Just straight up Nigerian, British, U.S., French terrorism. Man, we going to pour this libation in the memory of those brothers and sisters, those 6 million Biafran brothers and sisters who died during the Biafran genocide. Because I don't even like to call it a Biafran Nigeria Civil War. Because at the end of the day, General Ojukwu and the Biafrans proclaimed independence, which they did. They proclaimed independence. They proclaimed the right to self-determination and the rights to human rights to succeed from Nigeria on May 30th, 1971. So we also going to pour a positive libation for, the positivity of Ojukwu and them proclaiming independence, which is something that should be celebrated as well because he proclaimed independence. So let me pour this libation as I come to you today on Sunday, May 30th, 2021. In the name of Chukwu Abiyama, in the spirit of the supreme being, the supreme creator, Chukwu Abiyama, in the spirit of our ancestors, the Adichie ancestors, who still walk with us today, who still walk with our people today from the spiritual realm, of the ancestral realm. I pour this libation in the memory of those 2 million to 6 million Biafrans who were genocided, who died for the sacrifice, the martyrdom, for a people to survive and for a people to continue. And for their descendants who are also in the Western Hemisphere, in the African diaspora, who survived, who still survive and who still honor and remember those Biafrans, those Igbo people who were genocided, who sacrificed their lives. All the brothers and sisters who fought in the Biafran military on behalf of Biafran independence for the survival of Igbo people, for the survival of Biafran people. I pour this libation in their memory on this day today in the name of Chukwu Abiyama. Ise. 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 Ise, may their memory continue. I pour this libation also in the memory of the 3,000 or more, because we don't even know the total figures or the numbers of the black Americans, the new Africans that were killed and murdered today in the Tulsa Massacre on the 100th anniversary of our ancestors of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who were genocided by white supremacist KKK members in the United States government in Tulsa, Oklahoma on this day, May 30th, 1921 to June 1st, 1921. We remember you on this day, and we pour this libation in the memory of the children, the women, the men who were murdered in Black Wall Street, being burnt down to the ground. We pour this libation in their memory of the Tulsa, Oklahoma victims. Issei, 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 Issei. May their memories continue to live on. May they continue to walk with new African people. Issei, Issei. May our ancestors live forever, man. May our ancestors continue to walk with us. May our ancestors continue to guide us. May our ancestors' sacrifices, death, genocide not be in vain, brothers and sisters. May it not be in vain. May we forever remember them. May these colors continue to walk and fight for the liberation of African people, no matter where they be, whether it's in Igbo land, New African land, wherever you be on this planet, man. May our struggles lead to ultimately what we want to ultimately lead it to, which is, ultimate total African freedom, the freedom of Africa, the freedom for Africans in the diaspora, and freedom for African people, period, man. And it all starts with, standing in unity and solidarity with each other and remembering your ancestors' sacrifices, man. That's where it stands at, man. And to always remember that the struggle is for land, the struggle is for independence, the struggle is for reparations, and the struggle is for, political self-determination and human rights, brothers and sisters, man. Issei. Issei. So at this time, like I said, if you want to come on this live, you can come on this live right now. Just send me a live request, and I will bring you to the live, and I will let you speak your piece. But if you don't want to come into the live, nobody want to join the live, I'm going to close this live in 5 minutes. I give it 5 to 10 minutes. I will give you a chance to come into the live. If you don't want to come into the live, that's cool, because what we did today was a commemoration and an honor, and, that I'm pretty sure that the ancestors is, smiling upon us right now. And I'm pretty sure the ancestors are rejoicing right now. I'm pretty sure the ancestors are, blessing all of us right now from the ancestral realm. Yes, keep the Isseis going, man, because this is a Remembrance Day, brothers and sisters, man. This is an Independence Day, man. Keep them Isseis going, man, because we're not going to let them be forgotten. They will not be forgotten. They will not be forgotten. And I know it's many brothers and sisters who are commemorating and honoring the ancestors on different lives. Let's send Isseis to all the brothers and sisters who went live, all the brothers and sisters who are marching right now, because I've seen some videos of brothers and sisters marching as well, holding demonstrations, protests on this day. To all those brothers and sisters, I hope you be safe. I hope you have a blessed Sunday. I hope the ancestors will continue to walk with y'all as well, man, in remembering these brothers and sisters. And most important, like I said, the kids, man. We got to also remember this was a genocide of kids, because the greatest percentage of those brothers and sisters that died were kids, babies. And this is also something, oh yes, before I hop off of here, before I get off of here, because this is something I know a lot of y'all might not know of. Y'all might not even realize, but during like I would say from like the 1970s into the 1980s, here in the United States of America, and this is how evilistic the United States of America is as well, is that during the early 1970s, during the Biafran genocide, but even time after that, but during the Nixon regime and the different regimes, even the Kennedy regimes, but even into the 1980s and even into the 1990s, the United States of America's media and coverage of the genocide of Biafrans, man, it's this thing that they used to do, brothers and sisters, like doing commercials, like commercial breaks, doing TV shows and entertainment here in America. And this is something that I grew up seeing as living here in America, is that they would show pictures. They would show pictures and videos of young Biafrans, young Igbo kids, man, in the stages of famine, in the stages of starvation, to where you can see their rib cages. You can see how all the weight loss, and you can see their rib cage. It was some of the most horrific images and inhumane images that I ever saw as a kid. And I'm talking about when I was a kid. I'm speaking through experience. When I was a kid, we used to see this in the living rooms of our households here in America, in Black America. America used to show the pictures of Biafran kids. They used to have them on magazine covers of Biafran Igbo kids who were dying from hunger. You can see their rib cages, famine, flies, all in their eyes, flies and different insects and bugs and things eating at the flesh of these young Biafran kids. Man, it was some of the most horrific, humane images that I've ever seen in my life as a kid. So I just want to express that, because I don't think people realize the trauma, like the trauma of seeing our brothers and sisters way across seas going through this horrific genocide of hunger and starving. Because many people don't realize the devastation and the humane effects of the trauma that it leaves on your mind to see a people starving to death. Kids starving to death. You see what I'm saying? Kids starving to death. That was horrific for a lot of Black Americans to see these images being broadcasted into our households during the 1970s, during the 1980s, man. It was horrific, brothers and sisters. Because we used to think, like, even, I'm speaking from experience of myself, these things that I used to see is that I couldn't believe that it was taking place. I couldn't believe that it was taking place. Because, you know, Western countries, white countries, they have a tendency to, like, show the most horrific images of Africa. And a lot of those images, y'all don't even realize, a lot of those images that they used to try to reflect into the American household to show to Black Americans of Africa was the Biafran genocide. That was the Biafran. A lot of those images and those videos of kids with their rib cage showing, and the images of kids dying in Africa, that was the Biafran Nigerian Civil War, brothers and sisters. That wasn't just no, like, you know, America tried to make it like, oh, this was just a natural act, or this was some kind of just how can I put it? Just some kind of natural, you know, ordained, you know, genocide. Like it was a natural genocide. No, it wasn't natural. This wasn't natural. This was something that was facilitated by man. This was man created. So I don't know if it's a lot of Black people on here from America, the United States, who can remember like the images they used to flash into our households, the images they used to show on the TV of kids dying from hunger in Africa. Guess what? That was Biafrans, man. That was Igbo people. That's who that was. And they tried to make it like it was like different parts of Africa, you know, like were going through a famine, or they just was going through a natural ordained act from God of a famine, or just people just dying from hunger in Africa with the kids with flies all on them and their rib cage showing and things. No, that was the Biafran Igbo genocide that they were showing. That wasn't just some natural genocide that was taking place. No, that was the results of the U.S. imperialism, the British imperialism, the French imperialism, and the Western white imperialism, man. The oil companies facilitated that war and genocide, and still are today facilitating that genocide and that inhumane treatment of Igbo Biafran people today. The oil companies, brothers and sisters. Because that's what it's over. The oil. I just wanted to share that because I want y'all to I want y'all to understand that us black brothers and sisters in America, like, we seen this being broadcasted into our households. This was being shown on our TVs back then. Yes, it was all on our TV sets back then. In commercials, all types of things, man. And the sickest thing about it, nobody still came to the aid. Nobody still came to the aid of these brothers and sisters until this war was kind of like over, and it still didn't come to their aid. Because look at Biafra land today, look at Igbo land today, look at Nigeria today. That's all I'm gonna state on that note, man. So, like I said, man, prayers, solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Biafra Igbo land and the Biafra Igbo peoples in the diaspora, because there's so many of us in the African diaspora who are scattered across the world. Man, share this live with everybody, man. So we can make this a worldwide thing, so we can use our voices worldwide, so this live can be seen all across the world. Man, share this live. For the people who missed this live, who going to see this live later, please make a post today about the Biafran genocide, May 30th, 1967, and let's be the voices for our brothers and sisters to get the restoration of Biafra and to restore their sovereignty and their independence, man. So on that note, man, this has been your brother, man. Haki Kweli Shakur, Ike Chukwu, Igwe, Ike Chukwu. You know, I love y'all. Continue to fight. Continue to struggle. Liberation is near, brothers and sisters. Liberation is near. Biafra is near. New Africa is near. Total freedom of Africa is near. Like I always say, man, be a loyal enemy, brothers and sisters. Be a loyal enemy. Because your enemies have more faith in what you can do than what you think you can do. Be a loyal enemy, man. Death to the enemies of Biafra. Death to the enemies of New Africa. Death to the enemies of Africa. Death to the enemies of African people, man. Free the land by any means necessary.